This is a Glendale Library Arts and Culture program created for and featuring teens, edited and hosted by the Teen Library staff.
Hi everyone, it's Melissa.
And Desiree.
Welcome to our guest episode of Teen Gen Talks.
Today's guest moved to the States in 2011 with his family from Iran. After finishing high school, he started his higher education journey at Glendale Community College. He changed his major 7 times before deciding on economic and social development as his major. He then transferred to University of California, Berkeley, where he received a bachelor's degree in development studies and a certificate in entrepreneurship and technology from the College of Engineering. Besides being a book lover and a news junkie, he is also a soccer enthusiast. He currently works as a financial consultant.
Grab a snack and drink, and let's welcome Danial Golforoush to Teen Gen Talks. So thank you, Danial, for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, so let's jump right into this. In your bio, you mentioned you went to Glendale Community College and you changed your major 7 times. What were some of the majors you were thinking of majoring in?
I went through this journey where it was really hard for me to pick what I wanted to do, and I went across spectrum, anything. I started as a kinesiology major. I wanted to go into sports medicine, and then I just ended up taking I was taking a lot of general education classes, and my interest just changed. I went from that to public health, and I went to computer science, and then I changed to business and international business, and I just revolved everything around coming down to international development, basically economic and social development. And that's just because I came to realize that I like to study something that's interconnected with other disciplines, just because I think, especially now in a world where everything is so connected, and literally and figuratively, but I think it's worth looking at things in a bigger scope, differently than before it had been. And I think development studies really provided that for me, at least, to be able to kind of see how tech and how different policies are affecting development. And it was a vague enough, I don't want to say vague, but it was general enough of a major for me to be able to go into different industries if I chose to.
For you, was it the right choice to go into 2-year first and then go straight into 4-year university?
I think looking back now, definitely going to community college first was the right move. I think for me, given I moved to the States when I was I think at the end of my freshman high school years when I moved here. So there was a lot of things to learn. I took the SATs and ACTs, and I applied to a bunch of different campuses. But Berkeley was something I wanted to go even before moving to the States. It was just something that I was wanted to go to. So giving the chance to go to community college to be able to kind of gain experiences and go, it would be the best, was the best choice for me. And I really think a lot of people should consider that, a lot of the younger generation. And I think a lot of them are now, especially with COVID. It necessarily isn't the route for everyone, but if you are looking to kind of go into this phase of trying these different things, really getting to know the system before you give it a try in a 2-year or 2.5-year program, I think this is the way to go. And I think, and this is a lot of what a lot of countries do. They have programs where it's 2 years of introductory courses and 2 years of masters or 2 years of, and I think it's a thing to really consider. Even if you get into Berkeley, Stanford right off the bat, it's going to be a really different culture change when you go there when you're 18 or when you go when you're 20 or 21.
You mentioned you've always wanted to go to Berkeley, that was your goal. Why specifically Berkeley?
So it's a weird thing. So I'm from Iran, and before we moved here, my father had, I think, been here years before we were, and he would come here a lot. And one time, and for a while, he lived in the San Jose and the Bay Area, and he had come back to visit one of his friends there, and he had taken him to the campus of Berkeley, and he had stopped by a student center and bought me a sweater. He bought me and my sister a pair, yeah. And when he came back here, he was and I was 9, 10. I had no idea what it was saying, and it just looked like a weird seal. And I just told him, I was like, "What is this?" And he said, "It's Berkeley. It's one of the best universities in the world, and I want you to go there." And my father has and my mother, they've never been the type of family to really push on to do this, do that. But just having that, I think that really like kind of put it in my mind that you should do this. And when I came here, that was kind of all in my mind. And honestly, I could have gone to, if there was a university on Mars and I would have been the first person attending, I think I would have still gone to Berkeley.
So, what are some of your favorite classes that you took there?
Ooh, that's hard. I have to be honest. I hope my parents don't see this. I'm a really lazy person. I mean, I think they know. And my friends know I'm lazy when it comes down to doing a lot of the hardcore like practicing. So, but just joking aside, I think what a lot of the classes that I took were the classes where there weren't a lot of finals. It was a lot of research. It was a lot of hands-on experience. It was a lot of analyzing different policy. It was running your own little startup. It was, those classes. And I think one class that I really, 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 I can say I learned from was a rural international development studies course. And I had this amazing professor.
We did a lot of hands-on analysis. We did a lot of research papers. And I took another class, which was part of a certificate program from the College of Engineering. And it was like entrepreneurship and technology. And we got to kind of work on our little startup. We went as far as like doing a presentation for, different investors and being able to find some funding. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I think I would say those are it, just because it kind of matched, again, like that interdisciplinary approach to just life in general. But yeah.
Do you have any tips for freshmen in college?
Ooh, that's hard. I'm a very outgoing person. So, but I do need my own like me time. So if you're somebody that falls in my category, I would definitely, I mean, regardless of whatever type of personality you have, I would say try to find your community. And it may be hard, and most of the time it is. But just remember, there's hundreds of thousands of students around the campus. There's people living out there that are going to be able to connect with you one way or another. One good thing throughout the years has been just with the ASs, associate students, associations around campus. What's been good is that they post different clubs and organizations online. There's forums on Facebook, Reddit, and all that good stuff. So you can connect with people however you want. I would say you're investing a lot of time, you're investing a lot of energy, you're investing a lot of money. Might as well take advantage of it the way that you want, not the way that everybody else wants you to. I think a lot of the bigger recommendation and advice there that match more my personality, that are out going, join this club, join this organization, do this, go to this class. And many people aren't that way. And I have a lot of friends who have been throughout the years in classes where we walk away and they're not in an organization, but they found their little group in a study group that they had in school. So I think just go based off your personality. Let your whatever your timeline is, give yourself time to kind of settle and sink into the motion of what's happening at your school. So yeah, that would be. So I don't think there's one way to do it. I think finding out what your way is the way to go.
How did you balance your social life and academics when you were in college?
Oh, I don't know if there was a balance. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask these. I pulled a lot of all-nighters for papers. I hope my professors don't see this. I would. I think again, I think it comes down to every person's type. For me, if I'm not mentally ready to do something, I won't do it. I could be staying up all night to play FIFA. I can be doing, going out with my roommates, my friends, do whatever and not study. But when it comes down to it, I'll put 3-4 hours at it. But one thing I did find very, very, I'm the type of person that likes to keep my schedule busy, because if it's busy, then I'll do stuff. But if it's not busy, I'll just won't do anything. That's just the truth. And I think one thing that I found very, very helpful was this studying method that I found on Instagram, I think, which this guy was going off how he found this new method, and it literally was the most common sense thing. And he said, study for 10 minutes, take a 2-minute break. Now that sounded too logistical, so I just did 15 minutes of studying, 5 minutes of just hanging out, which ended up being more like 5 minutes of studying, 15 minutes of hanging out, but there was still that committed amount to go. But I would say just really like, I would really say take advantage of the resources. There are counselors or everything. Once you go talk to them, people will realize what type of personality you have, and just go based off your personality. I don't think there's one way everybody should do it, but just do it.
So, what is some advice on someone struggling to finding a career?
I think it's the matter of just doing something. I think I would have never ended up in my what major I studied. I would never have done that if I hadn't taken different classes, if I hadn't gone to office hours and talked to professors, if I hadn't done my research, if I hadn't just thought about things. And I think in everybody's mind, there's stuff going on in the back of their head, regardless of if they want it or not. But it's just a matter of doing something. It's if you have a part-time job, and I was in that after graduating, very last minute, I decided to actually move back to SoCal. And so at that point of time, recruitment season had happened, and every entry-level job asked for like 5 years of experience, which was like, that was a problem. So what I did was I worked, at the library. And while I was doing there, I really asked around for different opportunities in the system to learn different skills, to learn what I wanted to. And during that time, and I'm a soccer enthusiast, and during that time, I started writing articles. I put them on LinkedIn. I try to publish them on Medium and different things. And I think just taking those little steps matters. Just doing something. It doesn't even have to be. You don't have to have 3-4 jobs at the same time. Even if you have to, then then you have to. But if you are able to get by doing a bit of something that you like, I think that's the best way to go. Because I think once you graduate, given everybody's privileges are different, once you graduate, I think depending on a person, they have 5, 6, 7, 10 years to just kind of mess around and kind of dip their toes in everything and see what they like and what they don't like. And I know people who are in their 30s, mid 30s, that I graduated school with. So it's like a thing that you can do. So even if you don't like it, there's scholarships, there's everything. And I think it's just a matter of doing a little bit of everything that you want to do. Worst case scenario, you just list it on your resume. That's it.
So you have your BA in Development Studies. Can you tell the viewers at home what exactly it is?
So I had to memorize this because there were so many people who asked me what it was. So many people thought I did child development, and a lot of the reactions I got was like, "Aren't you too scary to do child development?" But yeah, and they said that to my face, and it was a rough experience. But I will have to say, so development studies is basically an interdisciplinarily look at global and domestic development with a look at urban, political, social, economic, and cultural development as a whole. So a lot of what United Nations, a lot of what nonprofit organizations, even to a point public sector and private sector they do, there has to go a lot of analysis into this. And development studies takes all of this takes all of this into account. And you have these theories and you have policy and you put it into practice, and that's just what it is. I think there's actually a UN kind of like a subsection called UNDP, and that's the development program that they have, and that's just what it is. Interdisciplinary look and analysis of everything around the world. So it kind of fit my own personality because I can't really focus on one thing. So that's just what it is. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. So you mentioned how you have a certificate in entrepreneurship and technology. What can you do with it?
I have learned from that. I think the best thing I learned was how to run a startup. That was like a small program they have in this amazing program. And I think a lot of colleges are starting to have it, which is kind of this entrepreneurship program, technology. And I think everybody should kind of look into it and to see if their schools have it. And from that, I learned how to run a startup, at least a very elementary level, writing down, kind of going at it. And when you say startup, people think of like, I don't know, like a Google,
Sure.
Twitter, like all the big, like, Airbnb, like there's a lot more startups than you may think, and they're very small at first. A lot of them fail. But I think I think it's a practical need for many people to have like some sort of insight into tech.
Is that like Shark Tank? Sorry, when you said that, I was like Shark Tank.
No, that's a valid. So yes, a lot of people that go to Shark Tank usually have startups. Startups are like small companies that need a lot of they're looking for basically funding to grow.
So what gravitated you towards getting their certificate and development studies?
The argument in my mind was for doing this was that it's kind of like what you see on Twitter or Reddit all the time, where why does school teach you about the, I don't know, Pythagorean theorem, but they don't teach you about taxes? And I really think that's quite a valid argument in ish. And it was in my head all the time. I was looking to walk away with some sort of practical skill. And having the mix of both, I think having like a social studies major and having like a practical, technical kind of like certificate minor next to it, I think that really put two things together, because there's a lot of people out there that are just really good at tech, and there's a lot of people who are really good at the management side. There's rarely anybody that's good at both. And the ones that are good at both are the ones that end up moving up and doing better and really know what they want to do. And I think doing both really gave me a part of my passion on both sides, tech and social studies.
So you're currently a financial consultant. How did you get into this field?
Part of development studies is economic development. And I'm a very big believer on the power of like microeconomics, which is like economics on a smaller scale, on the individual and whatnot. I mean, not to say that the other stuff doesn't matter. It's all interrelational and stuff. But I came to notice that financial literacy was one big problem in our community. And when I say community, I mean like the American community. I mean the whole wide world, where there's like so many different problems, and people just don't realize it's so much easier to have a kind of financially set life, even now or for the future. And I think having this kind of gave me the pathway to learn and help people, not only in an educational sense, but also it kind of fed my liking towards taking steps and helping people one at a time. So that has to be it.
What is your typical workday as a financial consultant?
I would say my typical workday usually starts with me waking up at 1 p.m. No, I'm kidding. I usually try to wake up around 8 or 9, and it usually starts with kind of looking at the news, looking at finance, looking at CNN, BBC, get a recap of what's going on, listen to a bunch of podcasts while I'm doing it, just to get a holistic look at the current events, and then see how the market is performing, different indexes, different stocks that I may be interested in, just to, for recommendation or whatever the case may be. And after that, I just start checking my work email, respond to everything that I have to. And from there, it depends on the day. Some day it's heavy trying to engage clients on social media or any other platform that I can try to kind of reach my message, kind of to extend my message out to people. The other part is basically other days it just is having meetings with clients. We sit down, we look at what the financial situation is and what their goals are in the future, and kind of get down to the nitty-gritty of planning everything. Just because you have to have a professional for everything they do. You can't be your own financial consultant, you can't be your own lawyer, you can't be all of that and have a full-time job. Like, that is quite impossible. So that depends on the day, but that's usually what it looks like. It has been a lot easier since I'm at home. So I just like get up from bed and I just like transition here. But it has been, that's what the day-to-day is.
So before we end, we have some rapid fire questions to ask you. The first question is, what is your favorite color?
Pink.
Pink.
Light pink.
Pink?
Light pink.
Yeah, I like that. So what is something you have been proud to say that you have accomplished?
Ooh, that is hard to say. I would say just getting by. I don't know if that if that makes sense, because I think it seems like it's a lot harder than people think. So just doing everything, planning things ahead. I'm a definite planner. So if a plan goes to my planning, it is an accomplishment.
What is some advice that you wish you would have known when you were younger?
There's a saying, I truly believe in this, is that you can't change the world until you change yourself. And I know it's like super, you see, it's like very Instagrammy, but Pinteresty, that's what I was looking for, or Tumblr. And so I think that's for me definitely is like what I would say is from a younger age. I think if I was told that I really like grasp the idea of what that means, that it all starts with you, and that's like I think there's the biggest challenge because you can get into politics, you can get into business, you can make all these changes, but I think truly if you haven't changed yourself based on your own set of values, I don't think you're changing anything.
Have you picked up any hobbies during quarantine?
Does sleeping more count or?
It does.
You know what? Yeah, it does.
Yeah. There you go.
What's your favorite soccer team?
Manchester United. I am a proud Red Devil supporter, and I want the world to know that. And yeah, I've been a fan since I was a kid. And I used to, when I was a kid, I had like really light hair. And I'm giving this detail because it's important. And when I used to do karate up until a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And when I was like super young, I had this like kind of like not a bowl cut, but I had like this little hair that was going on there. And there was a soccer player, his name is Paul Scholes. And I kind of looked like this little Paul Scholes. And that's what my dad's like friends and his like gym called me. So since then, it was just all about Manchester United. But I have to say, I'm a soccer fan beyond everything else. But Manchester,
Do you have any advice for anyone struggling during quarantine?
yes. Reach out. I think. Um, I don't know if it's that advice is for whoever that needs that advice. I think it's for other people. I think just reach out to your friends, just see how they're doing. Because quarantine has been very harsh on a lot of people. And even if you are, again, it's a matter of knowing who you are and how things work for you. Because the more you waste time on doing all these different things that won't help you, learn who you are. And if you need help, there's a lot of resources. And you have to know that everywhere there's a community and that you're never alone. Even though it may feel like it, there's people around. And they can be helpful. They can be there for you if you want them to. And I've said this to all my friends that I reach out to is don't feel like it's a burden on me. It is, I don't want to say it's a responsibility because it's not. I think it's just part of being friends, part of knowing someone to provide that help. So I think this message is for both side of people who need someone, people who think their friends don't need someone. Just reach out, see how they're feeling. I think that's the best way to approach it.
Describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words.
Okay. Can it bad clothing style? I would say that. I look back and I am fearful of how I think during all those years that my mom never said, "Why are you dressing up like that?" She was trying to get revenge on my like younger years where I was like really, I think I was like a bit evil. But I would say that sense of style. There's technically 4 words, but we're not.
If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you have?
That's hard. I don't know if I want a superpower actually.
You know what?
Fair.
Yeah, I think I would. I don't see the benefit of it really. It's yeah.
That's
If you
fair.
ask me
Yeah.
next, I'm probably a different answer. But right now, this sounds like the most
Right.
deep
Yeah.
answer.
Do you have a favorite podcast?
Yes and no. I don't know if I have one favorite podcast, but I'm a total to-do list guy, and every day on my to-do list, there's about 9 podcasts that I listen to. Yeah.
You listen to 9.
Yeah. But yeah. I invest a lot of time into it. Say my top ones would be probably the Journal from Wall Street Journal. It's like this, or Planet Money, one of the two. I think there's really cool social and political and economic stuff.
Who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh no, Now I don't want my friends to see this. Do you guys remember iCarly?
Yes.
We were out
Yeah.
at Costco. I was like madly in love.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When I was like, I think it was 12, 13, 14, that was like my thought of the day.
What show are you currently watching?
Currently, I just finished watching this Persian drama series with my folks. It's called Ham Gwana, which means like the accomplice. Actually one of the top 5 shows I've ever watched. But I just finished watching Legend of Korra, so that was like another prime of like what's happening right now. So it was good. It
Yeah.
was a good reminder of what childhood was like.
What is a book that you have read recently or are currently reading that you would recommend?
I would say a book that I would is different. Right now, I just finished reading John Bolton's book on the one that, oh my God, what is it called? The Room Where It Happened. I think that's what it was called. And I don't know if I would recommend it, but I would definitely recommend to anybody that hasn't read the like Homo Sapiens, Homo Deus, and 21 Things to learn about like 21st century. I think that's what it's called. It's
Oh,
by
I
the
think I've
same
heard of
author. It's by Yuval Harari. I think that those have to be my favorite books. I think everyone should read it just as an informational piece. I think it's really good.
So thank you so much, Daniel. We learned a lot about you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. Can you let everyone at home know about any upcoming projects and where they can connect with you?
Connect with me if you want to see my random rants and my thoughtful tweets. I'm on Twitter, and I think my handle is Danial Golforoush was my first name and my last name, and it's gonna be a lot of soccer stuff. I'm on LinkedIn, Danial Golforoush. So if anybody has any questions, they can reach out there. I do have Instagram and whatnot, but LinkedIn and Twitter sounds good right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those are the best way to reach me.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
guys,
you.
because I really like this. I think
Yeah.
Bye.
I think this is gonna change lives. My interview especially, but others also.
I agree.
Thank
But,
you.
you know.
Did you enjoy this episode? If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Glendale Library Arts and Culture channel.
Tune in every Friday at 4:30 for Teen Gen Talks. And if you would like to contact us and be part of the Teen Gen Talks, please email us at teengentalks@glendaleca.gov. Thank you. See you next episode.
Bye.
Bye.